All right, welcome back to ABA exam review. We're continuing our BCBA task list series. We're beginning B, concepts and principles, with B1, behavior, response, and response class. The biggest thing I want to start with is we do not want to overthink B1. It can be very complex if you really get into it. If you really get into Cooper, it can be more complex than it really needs to be. So our rule here is we're not going to overcomplicate B1. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. As always, let us know when you pass, work hard, study hard. Let's get going. So, B1, behavior response class. The fundamental of the fundamentalists, right? Our most basic ideas here. Okay. We deal in behavior. We're trying to change behavior in meaningful, socially valid ways. So, what are they? Well, they're three distinct different items. Do not use them interchangeably when you can. Now, almost everybody at some point refers to behavior when they mean response and vice versa. It's not the end of the world, but especially for the exam, you want to be very precise just in case they try to catch you thinking behavior and response are the same. Okay. In practice, obviously, we always use these interchangeably. Okay. On the exam, we've got to be precise. So, what is behavior? Well, it's everything we do. Okay. It's the activity of living organisms. A response is a specific instance of behavior. Okay. So, your behavior is kind of your umbrella, and then your response is each individual time you do that behavior. Then a response class, okay, is a group of responses that serve the same function. So, we have all these different responses that all meet the same goal, gain the same thing, or get rid of the same thing. And we're going to go through each one of these. Okay. Question: why is a functional analysis behavior considered more important than a structural or topographical analysis? And this is what I want you guys to remember as we go through B1 is most importantly, we're still looking for the function of behavior. Okay. We can talk about topography and form all we want, but at the end of the day, we need to know the function. So why is a functional analysis more important than, let's say, a topographical analysis? A, it is not. Topography and function are equal in value. Of course, they're not. Topography only says so much. Sometimes it says nothing at all. However, function is going to tell us why it's occurring. B, two responses can look identical but affect the environment in different ways. And this is really the answer here, right? We can have a response with the same form that can mean different things. If I hold up my hand, I might be asking for a high five, or I may be asking for you to stop. It really depends. C, it isn't always considered more important depending on the client. Function is always more important than form or topography. D, none of the above. So really what we're looking for here is to remember function is the most important thing. Two responses can look identical, but affect the environment in different ways. So behavior, okay? The behavior is the portion of an organism's interaction with its environment that involves movement of the organism. Already pretty technical. That is the preferred definition, okay? All it's saying is it's activity of a living organism, okay? It involves movement. Most importantly, it involves interaction with the environment. Behavior is a result of interaction between humans and their environment, including themselves. We have automatic behavior, right? Behavior that we do alone, and we're still interacting with our environment, whether in an outward way or an inward way. Okay. This is where the dead man's test comes from. Okay. If a dead man can do it, it is not behavior because a dead man is not interacting with their environment. So, some non examples: being hungry is not a behavior, that's a state of being. Getting rained on is not a behavior. You're not interacting with anybody, you're just getting rained on. A dead person can get rained on. That's where the dead man's test comes into play. You have to understand why that is a thing. It's just simply saying behavior comes from your interaction with the environment. If you're not interacting and things are just happening to you, it's not behavior. Don't forget, thinking and feeling are behaviors. They're private events. So in radical behaviorism, thinking and feeling are behaviors because they result due to your interaction with environmental changes and conditions, right? Every antecedent, there's an antecedent, and you start thinking about something or you start feeling something different, that's behavior. If you see your dog, you start to feel happy or you think you want to take him for a walk. Antecedent is seeing your dog. Thinking and feeling are behaviors. Now remember, thinking and feeling, these things don't cause. They're not the causes of responses. If you don't understand that, let's go back to the private events video where we talked about it more. Okay. But don't forget that thinking and feeling are behaviors. Again, don't complicate this more than it needs to be. It can get extremely complex. Don't confuse yourself. Behavior is our interaction with the environment. In ABA, we're typically dealing with behavior we can observe and measure. Simple as that. Question: which of the following answer choices represents a behavior in radical behaviorism? Well, we know radical behaviorism considers both public and private events as behaviors. So non-examples might be states of being, dead man's test. These are things we wouldn't consider behavior. Thinking, feeling, other interactions with the environment are. So A, a car drives through a puddle and splashes you. Have you done anything? No, you got splashed, but you didn't interact in any way. A dead man can get splashed. A is not a behavior. B, someone throws a frisbee and hits you in the head. Someone throwing a frisbee is a behavior. You getting hit in the head involves no movement on your part whatsoever, no interaction whatsoever. B, not a behavior. C, you receive a text after your date and feel nervous. Receiving a text is not necessarily a behavior, but if that is the antecedent and you feel nervous, well, feelings are considered behaviors. C would be considered a behavior. Receiving a text is the antecedent. It happened to you, and then you felt nervous as a result of your interaction with the environment. Make sure you understand that. D, your toddler spills milk all over your new shirt. Again, you're not interacting. You're not doing anything. A toddler could spill milk on a dead man's shirt, right? You're not interacting with anything. D isn't a behavior. Behavior involves you interacting and then a change. Okay. That's what behavior is. All right. Response is a specific instance of behavior. For example, talking, writing, and thinking are behaviors. Karen talked to the manager as a response. Alice wrote her name as a response. Blaine thought for a minute as a response. These are single instances of these behaviors. Response topography, the form or physical characteristics of behavior. Behavior usually contains several different response topographies, just how the behavior looks, okay, how each response looks. And why are there so many different response topographies? Because, for example, each time you prepare your coffee maker, even though you're going through the same steps, you're doing different little things along the way. Maybe you're scooping different amounts. Maybe you're taking a different path. Maybe it just looks different how you're doing it. All these little variations are just different topographies. The behavior is serving the same function, right? That's why topography doesn't tell us a whole lot. Again, don't overthink these. Don't overthink response and behavior. Behavior is the umbrella, right? Behavior is the big idea of our interaction. Talking is a behavior. Walking is a behavior. Taking a test is a behavior. These individual responses, okay, answering a question on your exam or talking to someone, okay, or walking down the street, these individual instances of behavior or responses. Again, get used to not using those interchangeably when you can help it. It's going to prepare you for the exam. Question: when defining behavior to target for behavior change in a treatment plan, what is the most important thing to consider? Again, just drilling this idea home. When defining behavior, what are we trying to consider? Well, of course, A, function. Topography, every variation in magnitude, they matter sometimes. Okay, they can be part of the definition. But without the function, we can't really change the behavior in a way that we want. And then finally, a response class. These are a group of responses that serve the same function. Simple as that. So all these different responses, they have the same effect on the environment. Let's say one of the most common, your client needs access to a snack. Well, they can ask their parents for a snack. They can hit their parents. They can scream. They can get the snack themselves. All those responses look very different, but they serve the same purpose. They're a response class. Responses in response class can have very similar or very different topographies. And then repertoire. often used to refer to all the behaviors someone can do. More commonly, though, we're talking about the collection of knowledge and skills relevant to a skill or task. So if I'm talking about your repertoire of playing the piano and you have been playing the piano for 20 years, your repertoire is probably large. If you've never played it, it's quite small. Patrick Mahomes, who's an NFL quarterback, got a very large repertoire of football skills, but maybe other skills, not so much. So repertoire just refers to kind of the collection and knowledge of skills relevant to any skill or task. Most importantly, all behaviors and responses occur in an environmental context. Whenever we talk about behavior, responses, we've got to talk about them in terms of effect on the environment, what changed in the environment. Question: Jay likes to drink beer on Friday after work. Sometimes he goes to a bar with his friends. Sometimes he goes to a baseball game. And sometimes he just hangs out at home. These collection of these three things make up a what? So the collection of these things make up what? Well, we know he goes to a bar to drink beer. He goes to a baseball game and drink beer. Sometimes he just hangs out at home and drinks beer. All these different responses serve the same function. Collection of responses that serve the same function are make up a response class. And we're going to talk about stimulus and stimulus class next. So be sure to check out that next video. Okay, great. That is B1, behavior response class. Can't stress enough. Don't overcomplicate it. It can get very technical. Let's keep it simple. Check out behavioranalyststudy.com for all of our study materials. As always, let us know when you pass. Work hard, study hard. See you soon.